Hey, sixth graders! We are starting our new unit on weather patterns. Yay! All right, so today we are going to start with a quick little review of the water cycle because it's super important in order for us to understand the weather and how we get weather and really what is weather. So, before you begin, you should pause this video and go and get one of these sheets from the front counter. You need one of these sheets to fill out these blanks as you go through this video and this presentation. So it's really important that you get one of these right now if you have not already went and grabbed one. So what is weather? Weather is the conditions, I apologize. Weather is conditions like rain, cloud, sleet, wind, prevailing wind, that happens at a particular location and a particular time. So I could say it is raining outside in St. Cloud at 6:56 a.m. That is weather. When that is different from climate, which we talked about in our last unit, because climate we were talking about overall trends and patterns of weather that happens over long periods of time. So weather, something that's happening right now or at a particular time and a particular kind of weather. We know that patterns can happen in lots of different ways. So we have patterns of volcanoes, which we saw along our plate boundaries. We could look at patterns of wind, prevailing winds, which led to patterns of ocean currents, warm and cool ocean currents. So in this unit, we are really going to study weather, so rain, clouds, sleet, conditions that happen in patterns at particular times. So we're trying to figure out what's happening. How can we look into the future and see what's happening with weather? What are the weather patterns? We are trying to figure out why some rainstorms have more rain than others, and you are going to investigate a mystery here in the next couple lessons. But really right now we're really focusing on that rain aspect. So we are going to dig into the water cycle so that we can better understand and we can be ready for that rain aspect of this. So the components of the water cycle: evaporation, which happens here, condensation up here, precipitation, we have our rain, and then our runoff, which is our water moving. So, I'm going too fast again. Precipitation is water that falls from the sky, or from the clouds to Earth's surface. Rain, snow, sleet. Those are pretty straightforward examples of precipitation. Our evaporation is when water changes from a liquid vapor, so for example, a puddle, and it rises into the atmosphere. So this looks like our energy transfer picture, but our diagram, but this is a diagram of water vapor evaporating and rising into the atmosphere from this puddle. And as this evaporates, this puddle will continue to get smaller and smaller because the liquid vapor that it is changing forms and moving into the atmosphere. If you've ever seen Elemental, this has been a big one in our house right now, but in Elemental, when they get too close, right, we saw that there was evaporation, and even at the end of the movie, they even used the word evaporation to describe what was happening. Water vapor is water as a gas. So water vapor we talked about in this one, right? We have our liquid vapor rising. So what is liquid vapor? It is the gas. So it is water as a gas. So when it's in our atmosphere, it's not just disappeared. So there's water all around us all the time. Everything, our air, everything has water in it. And so our water vapor is that water as a gas. And condensation is when our water vapor cools and it forms into clouds. So we have clouds, we could get foggy windows, right? We could get water that turns into steam in the bathroom or when you boil water near a surface. When we did this experiment in the last unit, when we put that lid on the hot water cap, you probably noticed that that lid fogged up and it had water droplets over it, and that was from condensation. And then runoff is water that flows through the earth and it reaches bodies of water, so it keeps our water cycle moving. So when we have rain here, it can flow down this river, and this river can flow to an ocean or something like that in order to have our water can continue to cycle. So it's just important that we remember that the water cycle, it sustains our ecosystem and it helps regulate our temperature and our climate, and it supports human activities. So they all kind of work together, and we're going to quickly just go through how the water cycle and our earth systems kind of work together, since we've been focusing on these earth systems this whole school year. So our first is our geosphere. So we know that water can shape landforms, it can cause weathering, it can cause erosion. We saw that in our Geology on Mars unit, our rock transformations, and our plate motion unit. Our hydrosphere, our hydrosphere is water, so that's pretty straightforward here. We'll study that in our weather patterns unit. So we have precipitation, and that helps redistribute our water through runoff. Our biosphere water is essential for our biosphere, right? We need water to survive. Our animals need water. Our plants, everything needs water to survive. So it helps with sustaining our biosphere and our plants, and it helps us with our temperature. And we saw that in our ocean atmosphere and climate unit. And then lastly, our atmosphere, so where clouds form through condensation. So our atmosphere is made up of those water vapor. It is made up of clouds. It's made up of all of those pieces. So we will dig deeper into that in our weather patterns unit as well. All right, so it's really important to kind of tie these things together like we've been saying this year. So energy from the sun plays a huge role in the movement of water. So we know that when evaporation occurs, that's the sun warming the surface, right? And when the sun warms the surface, it's transferring energy to the surface. So lots of different things are happening during this process and during this time when the sun is giving energy to our surface and giving energy to our earth. If that water gets too hot, then it will evaporate, and that is part of our water cycle. So today you are going to do 2 activities after you complete these notes. You're going to work in the simulation. So first you're going to click on this link to figure out how the amount of surface water can affect the amount of water in a water vapor. So if we think back, we were looking at these puddles and we were wondering why do some rainstorms have more rain than others? So that's how we're going to investigate it today. So we're going to click on this link to get to our simulation, switch to Regional Weather 1, and then you're going to follow the directions to change the sunlight to surface, to change the surface to water, and then you will click the Run button, which is right here. I cut it off on accident, sorry. And then you're going to pause the button when you see this temperature gauge turn red and it says temperature after warming. So I hope you enjoy that. When you're done with that, then you can move on to the next part of your lesson. I hope you enjoy reviewing the water cycle and getting into this next unit, exploring how different surfaces and the amount of water in different surfaces can really make a huge impact. Remember, today is a great day to learn. Happy learning!